I was once, when I was in a more junior role at church, asked to preach on a topic that I just found really difficult and didn't feel like I had much experience in, and I felt far too young and underqualified to speak about it. But I did. I gave it my best shot, and I brought something that I felt God had given me to bring on the topic through prayer and seeking after Him. And as I was doing it, it felt punchy and strong, and it felt like there were words coming that were beyond me. And as I finished the sermon, I sat down and I turned to a friend who I was working with and said, "How did that go?" And they said, "We'll speak about it tomorrow." They knew in their kindness that oftentimes the moment when you've just poured yourself out is that moment of real vulnerability and weakness. And it isn't always a good time to hear praise that pushes up your ego to where it shouldn't be, or to hear criticism that just comes to you when you're really tender and cuts deeper than it should. Over the course of the next day, I got texts from people who'd been in the sermon who had been really encouraged, and some of the things that I'd said that I was worried about saying were for them. It'd spoken really directly into their situations and circumstances, and all that my kind of nervousness about my delivery was gone because I realized, oh, God gave me a word to say, and I said it imperfectly, sure, but it accomplished what He wanted it to accomplish. And then I sat down with my friend and they said, "Yeah, that sermon, it was just no good. I don't think anyone will remember anything from it." And there was this real jarring moment between the text that I was receiving from people and the really sincere, kind words of a friend as he was trying to help me grow as a preacher and as a leader. I don't know about you, but I found that a lot in life. That sometimes our moments of greatest joy and triumph can also be fraught with the most difficulty. Sometimes weddings can be the occasions where there is the most upset and mixed emotions and family drama. And sometimes funerals can be beautiful and joyous as families get together and celebrate the life of someone who has gone. Jesus has had the most profound moment in His ministry here. We're reading from verses 38 to 57 in John chapter 11 today. And Jesus, He goes to the tomb and He tells them to take away the stone. He says, "Don't worry. If you believe, you will see the glory of God." He doesn't say, "Look what I'm about to do." He doesn't say, "I'm going to heal Lazarus." He says, "I'm going to show you God's glory in this moment." And then He prays and He says, "Father, I'm praying not for myself, but for those around me, so they can hear me praying and asking you and know that you hear." And He calls to Lazarus and says, "Come out." And out walks a man who was dead. Some say the reason why Jesus waited so many days to raise Lazarus is because some people had a belief that the spirits hovered round the dead body for 3 days until the body started to decompose, and then they left, and Jesus comes after this time. Some say He just left a pause for dramatic effect so people knew this was a definite resurrection from the dead, not just a resuscitation of someone who was ill. Either way, the response is dramatic. They call a meeting His opponents and the political and spiritual leaders of the area. And they say, "Look, if everyone carries on believing this guy, the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation." There's this profound verse in the midst of it where Caiaphas, who's the high priest, says, "You do not realize that it is better for you that one man die for the people than the whole nation perish." And there is this irony that they don't understand Caiaphas's words. They think this is about political expediency or maneuvering. And actually, he is predicting that Jesus will die, that we may all be set free. He will die to fulfill the hopes and promises of Israel. How does Jesus interact with the politics and the mess of where we are today? This moment of his greatest triumph, of his most beautiful, profound miracle, becomes the exact setting for those of his opponents to plan to kill him. That is a reflection of a reality that's true, that is really brought to life in Jesus and is something we should be aware of in our life. See, Jesus explains to us that there are two kingdoms. There is the kingdom of this earth. And yes, that included the temple and the nation. And yes, that included the Romans and their rule. And yes, that included the crowds. It's a kingdom of people trying to push forward what they think is right, or trying to get out of it what they can, to secure themselves, to make themselves safe or in control of their own situation. And Jesus says there's another kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom that he is bringing, the kingdom that reflects the beautiful image of God, the glory of God. And it's a kingdom not built upon people trying to control and plot, but it's a kingdom built upon the cross and Jesus pouring out himself and giving his life for others. These two kingdoms are alongside each other. At the cross, the kingdom of heaven was born in a beautiful way, and his spirit poured out on all of its subjects, all the citizens of heaven. But they still exist alongside each other until that time when God brings the heavens and the earth together as one and recreates the new heavens and the new earth and comes to be with his people and to rule in justice and in love. In this moment, we are dealing with some of the most beautiful things as communities reach out and respond in love to one another, and also just some of the most painful things as this virus continues to rob people of life, as this virus continues to expose the deep inequalities and scarring of injustice on our communities and on our country. But the kingdom is advancing in the midst of it all. The kingdom is spreading. So as you read this passage today, as you read the triumph and the trial of Jesus all at once, maybe just ask yourself whether in all the situations you're looking at, you're dealing with, you're carrying, you're seeing both sides. Where is the kingdom being born? And where is the opposition to that? Where are you stepping out for God? And what is coming to rob you of that joy, of that relationship with Jesus? And allow Jesus to walk through this journey with you.